Thank you for doing those introductions. Honorable members, you are welcome to the Portfolio Committee meeting. We also welcome our staff and the staff from the department. It is also the opportunity we are taking to welcome to the platform the department. We also welcome South Africans who may be joining us on various platforms provided by Parliament for them to participate as part of transparency and strengthening democracy. I'm going to ask members whether we have a mover for the adoption of the agenda.
I move, Chair. Nkosi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nkosi.
I
Do we have
second,
a seconder?
Honorable Zungu. Mam Zungu.
Honorable Zungu seconds. Thank you very much for that. Bear with me, honorable members. My video will not be on throughout the meeting, but we will proceed. Where I am, the reception is a bit unstable. So I'm just afraid that if I keep the video on, we might experience problems of the quality of connectivity. Lubabalo, do we have apologies?
Thank you, Chair. We have two apologies, Chair. The minister is attending the Presidential Economic Retreat in Bela Bela in Limpopo. And then we have another apology from Deputy Minister, Masha Khodlamini. She's at Bembe Municipality on a work visit. Thank you, Chair. And also, I missed a call from Honorable Swartz. She might have wanted to submit an apology, Chair.
I did get a call from Honorable Swartz that she's committed to another engagement, which makes it impossible even for her to log in. So that apology was given to me directly by Honorable Swartz.
Okay.
Item number 4, honorable members, is briefing by the department on the agreement on the IBSA arrangement between South Africa, India, and Brazil. As we know, that matter is about dealing with matters of poverty alleviation and so on. So I'll give over to the department to make the presentation.
Good morning, Chairperson, Honorable Chair, Honorable Suprama Mopelo, the members of
Deputy Minister, Comrade Guates.
Thank you very much, Slano, for the opportunity. And let me greet the audience, obviously also on the platform. Chair, I think the important issue that I want to amplify is that I think it's quite central that our PC assists with the matter of PAP, especially as it relates to it being the protocol to the Constitutive Act of the AU, and understanding also, Chair, that there has been past challenges experienced in terms of PAP being able to discharge its responsibility, in particular the matters about management and leadership challenges. I think from the side of DIRCO, we are ambitious, Chair, and hopeful that the 2014 protocol will be adopted, which actually underpin the centrality of the institution as it relates obviously to the matters of good governance is concerned. I think, Uslalo, you are equally also aware about the 2001 protocol to the treaty, which relates to the establishment of the African Economic Community relating to the Pan-African Parliament. I think when we self-reflect, Chair, we look at the 2014 protocol really as a key instrument to strengthen the mandate of PAP, which currently are having consultative status as an organ of the African Union. We want to immediately also acknowledge, Slalo, that we are not necessarily at a point where the Pan-African Parliament can fulfill substantively its envisaged role of being a legislative organ of the African Union. But like I've indicated, I think as a collective, we must remain ambitious in relation to that specific matter is concerned. The 2014 protocol, Chairperson, equally will be aligned and reinforce, obviously, the rule of law in our continent. And it corresponds with our obligation in terms of one of the 6 priorities when President Ramaphosa chaired the African Union, Chairperson, where we have said we need to at all times deepen democracy and good governance on the African continent. We obviously, as DERCO, are pleased that the protocol will be tabled for consideration and approval of both the National Assembly and the NCOP as part of the ratification processes. And it is therefore our anticipation, Chairperson, that under the stewardship of your leadership, that from the side of the National Assembly, that specific processes will actually be attended to with urgency. Secondly, Chair, in on the matter as it relates to the IBSA fund, I think the chair will appreciate that the Indian-Brazil South Africa's partnership, IBSA, is really a instrument as it relates to South solidarity, and the establishment in particular of the IBSA fund is because of the foresight of those 3 esteemed member states of the Global South community. And it is what we call a pioneering initiative, Chairperson, to look at how to ensure there's a benefit for members of the Global South of an initiative of members of the same community. We must indicate, Chair, the United Nations Office for South-to-South Cooperation has a specific role to play to complement the workings of this type of initiative. And I anticipate, obviously, the department will then, at a detail level, take the PCN confidence. Kiutumetsi, Chairperson, and I wish you well during this Youth Month of 2022. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Buetes. That's the presentation, honorable members. To the best of my understanding, is that the committee is not dealing with this matter for the first time. It was dealt with in the past, and the matters that are put on the table as a result of the department having said they will go back and look at a certain wording which was supposed to be inserted in as far as the responsibility to pass resolutions in the parliaments of the Republic of South Africa, India, Brazil are concerned. And that's why the matter was then dealt with in the manner in which it was dealt with at that point. I think it was in 2019. I did, honorable members, after getting this matter, just checked with our legal people. So I will ask Ausdineo to just in brief indicate to us the attitude of our legal people on how we must deal with the matter. Ausdineo?
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning. Chair, I'm trying to call you outside the meeting before maybe, Chair, you proceed with the directive. Can I please just consult with you for 2 minutes?
Honorable members, there's a request that Ausdineo wants to talk to the chair for about 2 minutes or so. Let's make it less than 2 minutes. Ausdineo.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Okay, we are back, honorable members. Thank you for allowing a few minutes. My thinking was that because the committee had dealt with this matter before I became a member of this committee, members of the committee are familiar with this matter of this agreement between Brazil, South Africa, and India. And therefore, what we need to be dealing with is the way forward. But be that as it may, we can now give the department opportunity to present article by article, then we'll do the discussion and close it at the end.
Thank you, Chair. And the team from Asia and Middle East, Ms. Sindiswa Nkuku and Mr. Benjo Bay will lead us in the presentation on this particular item. Thank you, Chair.
No problem. Ambassador.
Good morning, Chair.
Yes, good to hear from you.
May I go ahead, Chair?
Yeah, you can forward.
Oh, great. Thank you. Good. Hello?
Proceed, my sister.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Chair. Good morning to the members of the Portfolio Committee, to Deputy Minister DG and the colleagues. Good morning. Chair, I think you have summarized aptly our presentation. Yes, it was given to the Portfolio Committee in 2019. However, there were issues that were raised. I am not sure, Chair, you will guide me if we have to go back to the actual presentation, which was done in 2019, or we just focus on the issue that was the question that led to the process not going forward.
Okay, honorable members, what's your view? I thought you could just give an overall summary and go to the main issue which was raised in the past. The reason why the matter was referred back. Who else? Is it Honorable Faba?
Awara.
Oh, Muruti.
Nya ginara.
Eh, Muruti, virus kai. So let me
Haribati. Chairperson, actually you took words out of my mouth. I was also going to propose that she gives an overview of what happened and what the challenges were, so that our minds are also refreshed.
Okay. Okay, proceed then, my sister. That's the consensus.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair. I would quickly go to slide number 3, where we are outlining the purpose as to update you on the importance or what the IBSA fund agreement is all about. And then if we move swiftly to slide number 4, we are stating that this is an agreement that emanates to the establishment of IBSA, that is the India, Brazil, South Africa Forum, which was established in 2003, in 2003, and the IBSA fund was also created in 2004, a year after that. And we're giving a context that to capitalize the IBSA fund, we get donations or contributions annually of $1 million from each of the IBSA member states. However, a governance procedure had to be undertaken so that we make sure that the funds are accounted for from the parliaments of the 3 countries. That is why it was imperative that the IBSA fund agreement is signed. Yes, it was prepared a long time ago, and the opportunity presented itself in 2017, where the 3 countries could sign their agreement. Then the wording, therefore, of the agreement reflected the pre-2017 preparation of the document. Hence, it will reflect Millennium Development Goals instead of Sustainable Development Goals. And we are aware that by 2017, we already were operating within the context of the Sustainable Development Goals. We are stating to the Portfolio Committee, just to refresh the objectives of the fund, is to support the international development agenda, and we're looking specifically from the South-South cooperation point of view, and also supporting the LDCs, that is the least developed countries, and contributing towards poverty alleviation programs. And we also stating that the IBSA fund is concretizing the expressions of solidarity and strengthening the South-South cooperation as well. So the agreement, we are also stating to the portfolio committee that it is in line with one of the pillars of our foreign policy, definitely South-South cooperation, and also South Africa as is a signatory, and that is an expression of the national development goals, the positioning South Africa, a better South Africa in a better world and a better continent. So we are giving context to that. Why is it important for us to be signatories, to be or contributing for that matter to the IBSA fund? We are looking at the strategic focus of the IBSA fund and stating that it is currently having a 2.3 million as a current balance. And we are considering, we have presented and the proposals from Lesotho this year and from Mozambique, and those are also contributing towards the same objective of poverty alleviation and economic development in the impoverished African countries. And some of the countries we have shared, I assume that the portfolio committee chair has received the IBSA funded projects and the stages, whether it is a finalized program, a project, it is under consideration. But we're stating that the African continent is the biggest, bigger recipient of the fund in terms of the projects that are funded. And the issue then, Chair, because I don't want to go through everything, the bone of contention in 2017 from the portfolio committee was that we need to go back and correct what we reflected in the agreement as Millennium Development Goals. We consulted our partners, that is Brazil and India, on the matter. And we also did an internal consultation from our Office of the State Law Advisor on International Law, and we were guided as follows. Brazil and India, we were updated that they have ratified the agreement, that is the IBSA Fund agreement. And therefore, it will not be possible for South Africa to change the text, because it will mean that the other countries that have ratified the agreement with the Millennium Development Goals as the issue that the portfolio committee raised, it will mean that they are held back by South Africa. Number three, our legal advisors advised us that because the agreement has not entered into force, therefore it cannot be amended. It needs to be present, it needs to enter into force, and then after it has entered into force, we will be able to attach an addendum to the main agreement that makes that correction. So it is for that reason, Chair, that we are presenting the same agreement that we presented in 2019, without the changes effected as it was recommended by the portfolio committee, but making a request that the portfolio committee considers supporting the ratification of the agreement without the amendment that was proposed in 2019 for the reasons that we have stated. And we are also making our case, imploring therefore the portfolio committee to make this consideration, informed by the importance of this IBSA fund itself, and also to ensure good governance in terms of accountability from the South Africa point of view. I will pause there, Chair. If there are more questions of clarity, we will take those. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ausindi. Ambassador Losi, anything to add?
Sure, we have our teacher in the meeting.
Oh. When the introduction of the subject was made, was that it will be yourself, Ausindi, and Ambassador Losi presenting. So I thought the DG will wrap up. DG?
Good morning again, Chair and colleagues. No, I've got nothing to add. I think just my colleague has pointed out that the agreement was made in the old text format, and it was very difficult to change it. So therefore, the request to the portfolio to consider the agreement with the old text format included. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much, DG. Honorable members, what I was requesting us now to present from a legal advice point of view on this matter is exactly the same as what Ausindi has presented. The feeling of the legal people is that the text amendment can be done through an addendum only after the ratification. So that's the matter on the table, honorable members. Can we hear your views? Honorable Bergman.
Chair, thanks very much.
Yes.
Yes, thanks very much. I mean, if we can't really change anything, I mean, there's not much to really discuss. Just to say that, because we did discuss it in 2 years ago or so. Just to say that from our side, you know, like the IMF, when funds are given, there's obviously a lot of conditions that are usually attached to it. So it's often, you know, it's not just, so especially when, like, let's say it's involved in such giving of funds, that because our funds are also quite scarce, we're not exactly flush with money that them. So let's say within Africa, if we're giving funds, let's say
is wobbling your network, Honorable Bergman.
Sorry. I'm in
proceed.
Dobsonville today. Sorry, Chair.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if the 3 countries, and not just South Africa to Africa, so when the money, let's say goes to Mozambique, that there's conditions that are strategic in terms of giving the money. You know, that it's not just African between the South-South relationship that would actually help the objectives of the South-South relationship. So let's say terrorism in Mozambique, the conditions for the grants, the objectives of lending that money, the 3 countries would be able to also give would be able to decide objectives as an executive. You know, it's not just giving money out, because South Africa doesn't have money to just give out. So there must be a benefit for us sitting on such a, you know, for us giving money out or sitting on such a committee. So I'm just trying to find benefits or productivity for us if we're sitting on, you know, for us being on the IBSA. Other than that, as I said, you know, we obviously, we would have to go for this, but I'm just saying that would be my input. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Bergman. And Tate Muruti.
Chairperson, I just need further clarification why and where the difficulties are regarding the proposal to make changes, because the presenter told us that the agreement has not entered into force. I would think that it might be more difficult to bring changes after it has entered into force. But now it has not yet entered into force, and we are told that the agreement cannot be made, can be proposed via an addendum, which I do not really understand. And the fact that the agreement was first entered into 2 years ago, or even 3 years ago in 2019. And it has taken almost 3 years to enter into, to get the agreement into force. The proposal that South Africa will make might not be attended to after another 3 years, because it has taken so long to bring this thing into force. So if we make a proposal to make changes after it has entered into force, is that not going to take 5 years before that agreement is entertained? So I need to understand what makes it difficult. Maybe if we get further explanation on what makes it difficult for these changes to be proposed now, I could better understand. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Moruti Meshwe, Ndate Gosi.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to members of the committee, and welcome, TG, and your contingent from the department. Chair, my understanding is as follows, that when the presentation was made to us in 2019, it was ourselves who identified that technicality, that the agreement refers to SDGs, I mean to Millennium Development Goals rather than SDGs. And on the strength of our recommendation, the department was advised to go and seek a revision. So it is more ourselves who requested the department to pursue, correctly so at the time, an approach that reflects the reality that we have currently. And my understanding is that as it stands, as my second point, it is not possible to do the amendment currently to reflect what we are requesting. And that the only window open for us or for the country is after it has been ratified by ourselves, we can then make the department can then make the amendment to reflect the reality. That is technically of referring to sustainable development goals rather than the Millennium Development Goals. And I think on that score, the department is then correct after taking advice from both itself and its interaction with the partners or the parties to the agreement, that rather we ratify or agree to it as it stands and avail the first opportunity to deal with that technicality beyond that in 3 months after or whatever. The third point, Chair, is that while we may wish to draw in certain objectives or certain conditions that we want to attach to implementation, my reading of the agreement and how it is operationalized, I think this is a good model of good governance for development projects, because it is, while we contribute and while we may seek additional funding, it is administered through a multilateral organization or multilateral approach in the UN, where good governance is ensured. And we cannot draw in other objectives other than those that are provided in the agreement itself. It may be ideal, but certain conditions are better dealt with through instruments other than this, because this one is about
recording in progress.
It's about implementing projects in South relations that are scalable, replicable, and that contribute to poverty alleviation and exchange, I think, of ideas. Yeah, so my future is that we support the department, ratify, and as soon as we ratify, then the department can initiate the process to ensure or to effect the amendment as suggested by us in 2019. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ndate Ngosi. That was also my understanding. Cindy and the DG.
Thank you, Chair. DG, if I may come in, Chair, I think you have summarized it the way that we were requesting. And also, I think Mr. Nkosi also has provided the responses in terms of what Mr. Bergman was asking and also what Reverend Meshwe was asking. I think we are covered in that regard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the understanding is that the three countries has to be on the same wavelength in as far as both the legal imperatives which are attached to legislative processes are concerned. One country can move ahead of others and so on because it's a sisterly agreement among the three countries. So I'm sure that is our understanding, all of us now. So we DG, is there anything you want to say before we go to the next item?
No,
Deputy Minister?
No, Chair, I think that as indicated by Cindy, the process as outlined by Mr. Nkosi also outlines the legal issues that clearly once we ratify, as India and Brazil has already ratified on the basis of the old text, that gives us then the legal opportunity to do the addendum afterwards.
Yeah.
I think that's the important issue for this particular meeting to consider. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. So that's the matter. These legal things can be difficult sometimes in the Dumuruti. You know, when I'm with you and somebody comes and steps Nkosi to death, according to the law, that person is called a suspect. When me and you know that it's that person who stepped to death in Nkosi. So they call that person a suspect and must go through all the laborious processes of the law. That person is innocent until proven guilty. That person can appeal. When me and you were there, but the law doesn't think the way me and you think. So I'm just saying, by the way, that some of the things in law are a bit complex for ordinary person like me and you. Next item.
My simple question now, sir, is when is the ratification going to take place? Because it's taking long. I just want to have an idea. Where's the holdup and when is it going to happen?
Yeah, I'm sure as soon as South Africa, we have done the recommendation and it's passed through Parliament, then unless my understanding is different, Cindy?
You are correct, Chair.
Yeah, then we can proceed.
Yes.
So the sooner it's tabled in Parliament, from our side, now that it's agreed to in this meeting, we will then embark on process of making sure that the ratification takes place in Parliament. Then the department will accordingly take into confidence their counterparts. Is this an earlier hand, Nkosi?
No, so it's an earlier hand, for my apologies.
Okay, thanks, my bro. Next item. Lubabalo.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Luvuyo Ndimeni will lead us on the presentation of this item from the side of the department.
Thank you very much, DG. Ndade Luvuyo.
Well, thank you very much, Chair. My appreciation to the DG and also for requesting me to make the presentation. Good morning to the portfolio committee members, the DG and the executive management of the Department of International Relations. I wanted to just request if it can be the presentation can be projected. Yes. Okay. Well, can we just start with the first? Yes, the first slide, yes. The Constitution of the African Union, in its articles 5 to 17, it provides for the establishment of its organs, including the Pan-African Parliament. The establishment of the Pan-African Parliament is aimed at ensuring the full participation of African peoples in the development and economic integration of the continent. Article 17 of the Constitutive Act provides that the composition, powers, and functions and organization of the Pan-African Parliament shall be defined in a protocol relating thereto. The 2001 protocol to the treaty establishing the African Economic Community relating to the Pan-African Parliament of 1991 established a Pan-African Parliament and outlined its composition, functions, powers, as well as its organization. Next slide, please. The current legal framework within the Pan-African Parliament operates, within which the Pan-African Parliament operates, is the 2001 protocol to the treaty establishing the African Economic Community relating to the Pan-African Parliament. Ultimately, the Pan-African Parliament shall be able to evolve into an institution with full legislative powers, whose members are elected by universal adult suffrage. However, until such time that member states are able to amend the current protocol, the Pan-African Parliament is a consultative establishing the African Economic Community relating to the Pan-African Parliament. Thus, the provisions are aimed at strengthening the current provisions of the 2001 protocol. But most importantly, it determines Article 8, which speaks to the issues of functions and powers of the Pan-African Parliament, which will enable it to be a legislative organ of the African Union. The current issue which is facing the protocol right now is level and the status of ratifications. The countries that are listed in the first bullet have ratified the 2014 protocol, and those countries are Benin, Cameroon, Chad, Equatorial Guinea, Ghana, the Gambia, Madagascar, Malawi, Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, Sierra Leone, Somalia, and Togo. South Africa signed the 2014 protocol in 2019 and is in the process of ratifying it. The 28 members that are required to ratify the 2014 protocol to enter into force have still not been attained in this context. And for now, from behalf of South Africa, the submission has been made for South Africa to finally ratify, and this has been tabled to Cabinet for consideration and submitted to Parliament for ratification. Article 4 of the 2014 protocol provides that the 5 elected members, out of the 5 elected members, at least 2 shall be women, as against the current arrangement, which provides for at least 1. Furthermore, a delegation which does not satisfy this requirement is not allowed to be accredited for representation in the Parliament. The 5 elected members, I must just mention, are based on the different regions within the African continent. Article 5 on the tenure of office of a member of the Pan-African Parliament assists in determining that a member shall be elected for a period of 5 years and shall be eligible for re-election for 1 term only. The same article also outlines further circumstances under which a member's term of office shall cease, which includes, amongst others, convictions for offenses including fraud, dishonesty, moral integrity, and sentencing and who has been sentenced to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months, and the representation of a state party which is suspended from the Pan-African Parliament. In this context, there are countries such as Mali, amongst others, which have been suspended. The article also outlines modalities for the removal of members of parliament on the above mentioned ground. It is further determined that under Article 8 on the functions and powers of the Pan-African Parliament, that it shall be a legislative organ of the AU. However, the Assembly of Heads of State shall determine the subject and the areas on which the Pan-African Parliament may propose draft model laws. Furthermore, the Pan-African Parliament may on its own make proposals on the subjects and areas on which it may submit or recommend draft model laws to the Assembly for its consideration and approval. The 2014 protocol has also elaborated modalities for the appointment of the Pan-African Bureau, as well as its functions in Article 12, which, while Article 15 provides for the periodicity of the sessions of the Pan-African Parliament. Under Article 10, it further clarifies the issues of allowances for Pan-African parliamentarians that shall be paid by their respective state parties. Currently, Article 10 of the 2001 protocol provides for the payment of allowances, but it is silent on whose responsibility it is to pay such allowances. Areas in which the protocol is being strengthened also include, amongst others, that the seat of parliament shall be located in South Africa, and this is a very extremely important bullet for us currently. And also that the Pan-African Parliament may convene in the territory of any member state at the invitation of that member state. Article 21 provides that the African Court on Human and People's Rights shall have the jurisdiction on all questions of interpretation of the 2014 protocol. Modalities for the amendment and revision of the 2014 protocol, its review, as well as transitional arrangement are provided for in Article 25, 26, and 27, respectively. That is the presentation through you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndate Luvuyo. Edition, DG, anything?
One point I think that we need to emphasize, Chair, thank you, and it's important that we emphasize it, is that the protocol and the changes does not pose any obligations that are in conflict or contradictory to our domestic or national laws, and particularly given that we are constitutional, governed by constitutional supremacy, and neither does it contradict our international obligations. I just thought that we needed to emphasize that point, but other than that, the presentation covered all the issues. Thank you, Chair.
Perfect, DG. Honorable members, there's the presentation on protocols. Is there any extraordinary matter that any of the members would want to raise on the straightforward matter of protocols? Okay, I take it that we take the protocols as presented. Being that as it may, Lubabalo, do we have any other matter that you think we must bring to the attention of the members before I ask Honorable Botes to do his wrapping up remarks? Honorable Botes, you can do your wrapping remarks.
Chairperson?
Yes.
In the Libabalo might be having challenges. Chairperson, we have, now that the committee has agreed to approve the 2 international treaties that were presented before the committee, we do have draft reports on those agreements, which the committee can, if the chair allows now, the committee can consider and adopt so that the processes can be fast forwarded.
Fast-tracked.
Yes, Chairperson. Thank you, Chair.
No problem. Honorable Botes, you can do your wrap-up remarks, then we release you and your team of Revocrats.
Oh, thank you very much, Chairperson.
Revocrats, Honorable Botes, just before you go far, I prefer to characterize them as bureaucrats within the state who understand very deeply the imperatives of the revolution in the execution of their mandate. Proceed, Honorable Botes.
Like Steenhuisen.
I think your characterization in particular is quite correct because it's pertinently applicable to the foreign services of South Africa. And thank you very much, Chairperson. I think what we have done today, Slalo, it's a commitment from DERCO to ensure that we remain seized together with the PC on matters that advance our Pan-African outlook. And today, I think we have actually pivoted the Pan-African Parliament concomitant matters that we are seized with as it relates to this very important instrument to deepen our Pan-African outlook. And secondly, Chair, we obviously have a corresponding obligation to ensure the matter of global solidarity, in particular South-to-South cooperation, which is a key foreign policy imperative.
Yeah, you have disappeared, Honorable Botes. It looks like there's a problem with your connectivity. We have lost Honorable Botes, but we got the gist of what he was saying to say today was about reasserting our agenda of Pan-Africanism, our work around solidarity, responsibilities, and so on. We want to thank the department led by the Deputy Minister, the DG, for coming to the Portfolio Committee to honor the invite by the Portfolio Committee to process the two matters. And we want to thank the professionalism in which you presented the two items and the manner in which you dealt with matters that were subsequently raised by members. At this point, we'll release the department so that we can proceed as the Portfolio Committee. As the now draft reports.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Bye.
Thank you, Chair. Bye-bye.
Sure. As the now
Thank you, Chair.
draft reports.
Thank you, Chairperson. Lubak, can you allow screen sharing, please? Is the report on the screen?